If you can't sign Max Verstappen, the best alternative is to get the next Max Verstappen. And that increasingly appears to be the plan for Mercedes, as it works on replacing Ferrari-bound Lewis Hamilton in 2025. Mercedes has long seen Andrea Kimi Antonelli, or Kimi Antonelli as he's known, as the next big thing. Since it signed the Italian when he was a 12-year-old karter back in April 2019, Antonelli has emerged as the star of the Silver Arrows Young Driver programme. And Hamilton's unexpected departure means Antonelli is on course to be in a Mercedes far earlier than expected, probably as George Russell's teammate in 2025. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff is being very careful not to talk about Antonelli too much and pile pressure on his shoulders. But there's every indication that the 17-year-old is the first choice for next year. Well, the first choice that is, unless Verstappen really were to be available amid the speculation about his future. Mercedes hasn't completely given up hope on Verstappen making a shock defection should the politics that consumed Red Bull earlier in the year resurface. However, that remains a distant long shot for 2025. And when asked about the possibility of changing team at the end of the year during the Japanese Grand Prix weekend, Verstappen said he's very happy at Red Bull. Setting that remote possibility aside, Antonelli is on pole position for Hamilton's seat, and the proof of that is in Wolff's willingness to let the other leading candidates for the drive sign on the dotted line elsewhere, while Mercedes works through the process of proving Antonelli really is ready. At the top of that list would be Ferrari's Carlos Sainz and Aston Martin driver Fernando Alonso. Yet, when Wolff was asked about the situation in terms of the 2025 driver options, he stressed that it would be weeks or even months before a choice is made. And in what he calls a very dynamic driver market, he accepts that some of the really good guys are about to sign for other teams. Mercedes would doubtless prefer it if drivers like Alonso and Sainz held off just in case, but they will both be eager to lock in their futures and won't risk hanging around as an insurance policy for Mercedes. Oh, and although Wolff has made some ostensibly positive comments about Sebastian Vettel, there's no serious interest, even though Wolff has been careful not to dismiss the possibility out of hand publicly. The need for Mercedes to take its time fits in with Antonelli being the favoured choice. He hasn't yet had the chance to prove conclusively that he is ready for promotion, which is why the final decision must wait. This call will be made based not only on his F2 progress after a tough start to the season for his Prema team, but also judged by his performances in upcoming F1 test outings in old machinery. And if alternatives take themselves off the market while that final judgment is made, so be it. It's extraordinary that the first choice for one of the biggest teams in F1 is a rookie who will only be 18 next season and as yet hasn't even won an F2 race. But the shock departure of Hamilton was not anticipated by Mercedes, neither was it desired. But now that it's inevitable, Wolff clearly wants to take advantage of it to fast-track a young mega-talent to a race seat. Antonelli kicks off his Formula 1 test programme at the Red Bull Ring on April the 16th. He'll have 2 days of running in the 2021 Mercedes W12, the team's last championship-winning car and built to the old regulations. The rules permit teams to test with cars that are more than 2 seasons old, meaning Antonelli could have driven the 2022 car to get a taste of the current ground effect machines. However, Mercedes opted to start him off in the 2021 car, so he gets to experience a really good car for his first go in F1 machinery. Antonelli will move into the 2022 car in due course, but this test programme hasn't been created as a consequence of Hamilton signing for Ferrari because Mercedes realised it might need Antonelli in 2025. This was always the plan as part of his F1 education. What has changed is that Antonelli now has more days of F1 testing scheduled for this year than he originally did. The Red Bull Ring date has long since been slated for his first test. It fits neatly into the gap in the F2 calendar between the third round in Australia in March and the resumption of the season at Imola in mid-May. But as well as mileage in the 2021 and 22 Mercedes, there are potentially other opportunities to give Antonelli F1 seat time. He won't be allowed to participate in tyre testing using the 2024 car, given the regulations stipulate a driver must have competed in one F1 race to be eligible. However, there is a young driver test after the Abu Dhabi season finale. There's also the possibility that he could appear in FP1 sessions later in the season, either for Mercedes or another team, but that cannot happen until after he turns 18 on August the 25th to be eligible for a super licence. There's even the chance that if Mercedes commits to running him in 2025, it could attempt to place Antonelli with another F1 team for some races in the second half of the season. Williams would appear the obvious choice given Logan Sargent's ongoing struggles. Any plans for Antonelli have not yet been confirmed, but it's clear that his progress in testing old machinery will play a key role in shaping his programme for the rest of this year and 2025. While Mercedes hopes Antonelli really is the new Verstappen in terms of what he can achieve on track, potentially shaking up F1 as a teenager if he races for the Silver Arrows next year, there's more to Wolff's eagerness to promote him than that. Mercedes was in the running to sign Verstappen way back in 2014 when he was in his first season of car racing in F3. But Red Bull managed to land this prize asset as, unlike Mercedes and Ferrari, which was also in the hunt, it could offer Verstappen an immediate F1 graduation in 2015. Mercedes was frustrated to have been blown out of the water by what Red Bull could offer, and the rest is history, with Verstappen proving a thorn in the side of the Mercedes team ever since. Wolff wants to put all that right by signing Verstappen one day. He recently described that as a relationship that needs to happen, he just doesn't know when. So if the slender chance it happens in 2025 doesn't materialise, Antonelli offers the tantalising hope that he could be to F1 now what Verstappen was a decade ago. And the missed opportunity of a decade ago is doubtless in Wolff's mind as he considers whether to greenlight Antonelli being fast-tracked. What Hamilton's Ferrari move has done is allow Antonelli's pathway to a Mercedes seat to be accelerated. Antonelli's F2 campaign hasn't got off to the best of starts. He's down in 9th in the championship. However, things are going in the right direction. He had a difficult debut in Bahrain as both he and Prema Racing teammate Ollie Bearman were off the pace, although Antonelli finished ahead in both races. But there was a big step forward in Saudi Arabia, where Antonelli showed flashes of pace after Prema made a big step forward with its cars, but he was a couple of tenths off Bearman's qualifying speed. Antonelli has suffered the growing pains you'd expect of an F2 rookie, with incidents in the sprint races in both Jeddah and Melbourne, but in the Australia feature race he finished a season best 4th after qualifying on the front row. Even so, he was frustrated to miss out on a first podium finish after struggling with the balance following his pit stop. That reflects the fact Prema still isn't entirely on top of the setup challenges of the new for 2024 F2 car. The upcoming 3-day F2 test in Barcelona will be crucial in improving that, with Antonelli's hopes of emerging as a title contender dependent on Prema making more progress. Antonelli has shown flashes of pace, and with 3 F2 weekends under his belt, needs to kick on when the championship resumes at Imola in May to further his claim for a Mercedes F1 seat. Before Hamilton revealed he was heading to Maranello, the hope will have been that Antonelli stars in F2 this season and could then be eased into F1 with a smaller team. Williams would be the obvious choice given team principal James Vowles worked with Antonelli and shares Wolff's belief that he is the next big thing. That would echo George Russell's deal to race for Williams from 2019 to 2021 prior to becoming a Mercedes driver. But the Mercedes vacancy in 2025 has created a very different possible timeline. And as Mercedes is unlikely to be a World Championship contender next year, it can afford to risk having an inconsistent rookie in the car for a learning season. This means Antonelli is set up for a shock promotion that seemed impossible just a few months ago. And while it might seem ridiculous for a rookie who has yet to drive an F1 car to be the favourite for a seat with one of F1's grandee teams, he really is reckoned to be that good and capable of making a Verstappen-esque impact. And as Wolff has pointed out, Antonelli's F2 teammate Ollie Bearman's outstanding Grand Prix debut for Ferrari shows what a rookie can be capable of. The pressure is on for Antonelli to deliver both in F2 and his F1 testing opportunities, and it's a lot to ask of someone who is only 17. But Mercedes is giving him these chances by way of due diligence in ensuring he's ready in the expectation he will thrive. As the saying goes, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And Mercedes is absolutely certain Antonelli is good enough.